And the two of us sitting across from me is Bishop Dwayne David Royster.
And sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler.
Yeah, man, how's your weekend?
It actually went really too fast. So I think I got set up from Thanksgiving, being Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now it's like, oh my God, only 2 days? It was
Right.
it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, well, hey, try like flying down and back to
Yeah,
Georgia
you the man.
and participating in a motorcycle ride to get
Yeah,
turn out
how,
the vote.
how, how did that turn out? Please tell us about that, because that was like I was looking at the video, at least the one video you posted. I was looking for more.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, the only downside is that now I got to stay in the house. According
Oh
to
yeah.
Pennsylvania, they're like, if you've been out the state, stay home. I mean, it was 40 degrees outside. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere anyway. But in all honesty, it was a great event. Man, it's like about 60 bikers came together,
Oh wow.
roared through the city of Atlanta, and a lot of bike clubs. It was, it's interesting, the energy down there. So as you think about Georgia right now,
Hmm.
there is a great deal of unity among African American voters and unity of purpose to get out and turn out the vote. This was a nonpartisan ride, of course. And so, but people are definitely on board that this is not going to be a typical runoff election where the African American vote plummets, but people are determined to, to do all they can to, get their loved ones and their family, their friends out to vote. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting January 5th runoff. That's all I'll say.
Now let me just say that you had a bunch of black Greeks down there with you too, and it was I saw O6 riders and the Omega riders were down there.
Yeah, man. Look, Qs and Alphas riding together for a good cause. Didn't see any Kappas or Sigmas or Iotas. There were some Deltas there, some AKs there. It was an interesting mix. Even a Zeta rider, she rides with the Queens of Harley.
Okay.
Yeah, man. SG Row, I didn't see them, but yeah, it was like look, bro, everybody rides.
That's right.
And so once you throw that out there, it's like, oh, I didn't know you were in a fraternity sorority. So all of a sudden, folks start divulging that. But yeah, but Georgia's interested. Speaking of Georgia,
Uh-huh.
um,
A lot going
so
on. Yeah.
yeah, so they had the big debates last night. So Raphael Warnock debated sitting Senator Kelly Loeffler, and John Ossoff debated an empty podium because David Perdue said, "Nah, I'm good."
Mm.
After that shellacking that boy gave me at that last debate,
Yeah.
I ain't coming back. David Perdue, the sitting Republican senator, chose not to show up to debate and left his podium empty, to which John Ossoff took full advantage and debated himself.
That was a brilliant move. That's a brilliant move.
Yeah, that didn't you think about like the organizing work that we do? I mean, isn't that the kind of stuff organizers would do?
Absolutely. You like put an empty chair there for a politician that won't show up and start
Right.
asking them questions. And you just start having a conversation with an empty chair.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like,
Absolutely.
so, Mr. Perdue, why did you vote no to give money to Americans in another stimulus package? Let me tell you why. Because you, sir, don't care. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know which is worse, honestly, right? Because Kelly Loeffler showed up
Hmm.
and had to continually be on the defensive, first by the moderator, later by Reverend Raphael Warnock, the challenger, as to, did Joe Biden win the race or not?
Right.
And so she's got to sit there and try to balance the act between, yes, of course, I know he won, but if I say yes, then these, folk who are like Donald Trump sycophants are going to come for my neck. And so it's like, where do you go? So this internal war going on within the Georgia Republican Party. Now, Georgia Republicans have successfully won all the runoffs up to this point, statewide runoffs, from what I've just recently heard.
Hmm.
But they have never lost one of these. And yet, if there was ever a time to lose one, it appears this might be the one because of so much internal strife. The president's visit Saturday to Valdosta did not help their cause. it only made stuff worse.
Well, yeah, because he talked about himself. He talked about them for all about 30 seconds, and then went after Governor Kemp. I think at one point he went after them again too for not doing more to back him up. And it's gotten really messy down there. The lieutenant governor has said that there's no problem with the election. The election results are what the election results are, and that they're certifying for Georgia. So even though while they were down there, Trump was trying to convince Republican leaders from Georgia, he was calling the state senators and the state reps, trying to get them to go back into session so that they would overthrow the popular vote to change the electoral college for Georgia. So it's a real messy thing down there. But he went down there and basically started his whole spiel about how the race was fixed, rigged, Dominion voting systems, the whole 9 yards. It was absolutely horrendous, absolutely horrendous.
Well, I mean, what's your take, though? Will this have it? I mean, is this the opening that if you're the Democratic Party, because there's like this, I mean, there's only one way that you could really win this. It's like in a sporting event where you have a superior team up in the score. The only way they could win it is if they beat themselves. Is that what we are about to witness in Georgia? How's the view from the outside looking in?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Democrats are. So I'm interested to see what happens. I've been watching the national news lately, and I keep asking the question: why is it that the white guy from Georgia is the one is being seen on national news? Raphael's not out there. So like when you watch The View or Good Morning America, or you watch a lot of these national programs, they've put Joel Ossoff up, but they have not put Raphael Warnock up. And I'm like, what is that saying? Are they prepared to concede one of these elections? They'll take one, lose one. I'm also deeply wondering about the still the racism, right? Raphael, I think Warnock, the Reverend Dr. Raphael Warnock, would be a great senator. But I just wonder if the South can get over being the South.
Well, you think that's what it is. I
think that there's a racial component in this that they're not putting out. I mean, we don't see Raphael Warnock up on these bigger platforms, and I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense to me because he's actually the more eloquent speaker of the two, and Joel also does good.
So I'll just say this, and mind you, I've been in and out of Georgia for the last 3 weeks a lot, and trying to do my part to again help them with a large voter turnout.
Right.
And what I sense in being in the state from just kind of hearing from people is the bigger concern is that Ossoff does not have enough of a following to overcome Purdue, and that the feeling is that we know we're going to get one.
Yeah,
we'd like to get two, but the one they think they're going to get is Warnock.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because in Georgia,
that's the perspective on the ground. I'm not in the States.
Yeah, so. But I hear exactly what you said from looking from the outside, but on the inside, it's Warnock is the pastor of the most well-known church in the entire state of Georgia, where Dr. King served as pastor. That comes with its own, deep set of relationships. He's a graduate of Morehouse and was not just a student of Morehouse. When we were there together, when I was at Clark, he was the president of the Morehouse Chapel Assistants, the student group. That's a huge, that's better than being SJ president. He's an alpha. He's got all these like relationships in the state, and he's from South Georgia. So Warnock, I think, has this just kind of this under the radar ground game that will probably rise up and surprise a lot of people versus an Ossoff who I think they feel is struggling. Plus, Ossoff is very young. He's in his early 30s.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, and so, there's always that, well, he can come back and do this 6 years from now. It won't hurt him kind of thing that just operates with the body politic. So that's just kind of my read right now, that I think they feel good about Warnock's chances. And everybody I met, almost to a person, said, yeah, but remember, we need Ossoff too. Now, that may just because I'm only talking to black folk by and large. Be interesting to hear what white folk have to say as well. But black voters going to make a big difference in this election.
Yeah, I mean, I think well, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, in the black community, I'm wondering how he's perceived in the white community, right? And especially white Georgians that might have a reaction to him being from Ebenezer Church and, being in the legacy seat of Dr. Martin Luther King, both senior and junior.
Hmm.
So, and that's got history in Georgia, right? A lot of history in Georgia and the South in general. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, if the energy and momentum continues, if Sidney Powell, Donald Trump's former advisor to the Trump campaign, continues her "don't vote because the election's rigged" piece, if Donald Trump continues to be all about Donald Trump, which I don't think he can do anything but, and really ignores them or continues to criticize Kemp and the other Republicans in the state, I think he's going to alienate enough of the Republicans that people will be like, hey, Biden's not a liberal. He's a
Hmm.
centrist. We can live with that. It's only
But,
4 years.
but listen, we talked a lot on this show about poetic justice, right?
Uh-huh.
And it seems like the cosmos, if you will, has already set the stage for doing big dramatic things in this season. Everywhere I've gone lately, outside of the state, people are like, "You from Philly?" Oh man, Philly, you you all put us over the top. Thank you. I swear to you, I met a preacher in Tennessee, and he was like, he backed up, like bowed his head and said, "Man, tell Philly thank you. Y'all did it." And I'm thinking like, it was also Arizona, it was also Georgia, but no, because when our votes were finally tabulated, Pennsylvania could confirm that it went to Biden, and that put Biden over the 270. And so, in the world's eyes, Philadelphia did it in particular, right? Poetic, given what Trump said about bad things happening in Philadelphia.
Right.
Fast forward now to this. Would it not be poetic, right, that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans would lose control of the Senate because of Georgia, of all places? Now, that governor, a lot of people in Georgia would tell you, stole the election from Stacey
Absolutely.
Abrams
Stacey Abrams. That's right.
because he was the Secretary of State as a candidate, and he set the rules for the election and purged the list of a number of voters that, had they been on the roll, Stacey Abrams would be the governor. And now his administration is crying the blues. Check this out. His lieutenant governor said, talking about Trump's attacks now upon the same guy who has been like a big Trump supporter, Governor Kemp, says that it's not American. It's not what democracy is all about. Wait a minute, bro. You hitched your caboose to the Trump train long ago.
Uh-huh.
And Trump is not new. This is what Trump has always done. And for now you to cry foul because now he is aiming his guns at you, it would be absolutely poetic for it to end for the Republican hold on the Senate to end in this fashion, in this manner. And I'm telling you, this would be something that happened in the cosmos.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. I mean, so I hear what you're saying about the lieutenant governor. I just find it interesting that Kemp stopped talking, right? Because I think he was hurting himself. And so the lieutenant governor has now spoken out. The Secretary of State has spoken out. And the head of the voting division of the Secretary of State's office had a press conference. Basically, like, y'all need to stop sending us death threats. You need to stop showing up at my house. Somebody broke into the Secretary of State's house.
Whoa.
Yeah, and was threatening him and his family, right, because of this. I mean, look, these Trumpers are crazy. There was an armed protest outside the home of the Michigan Secretary of State over the weekend, trying to get her to invalidate the electoral votes from the state of Michigan. She was home with her 4-year-old child, putting their Christmas tree up, and there were grown men, and I wanted to say another word, but I'm not going to say that. There were grown men with long rifles, shotguns, and handguns protesting outside of her house.
Wow. In Michigan.
In Michigan. Now, Michigan is crazy. And I think part of the problem with Michigan, I'm going to talk about misogyny here for a minute, right? They've gone after the governor. They marched into the governor's office and chased her out of the building with their long rifles.
Her.
Right. Yeah, that's Governor Whitmer, right? Gretchen Whitmer. They have gone after the Secretary of State, her, right? And they are continually going after the leaders, and in particular the female political leaders, and using the intimidation of military weaponry to do so. And I think that this is just really sad, right? This is sick. It's absolutely sick that folk are doing this in this way.
Well, listen, we got to take a break. We're a little bit over. We don't want Quasa to jump on us this morning. So we're going to take a break, and we'll come back. We'll continue this conversation. We've got to talk about SNL, the skit. You brought up Michigan. Their cold open was all about Michigan and Rudy Giuliani, and that, like, really, I don't know which was funnier, the actual Senate hearing or the one on SNL. You be the judge. But we'll be right back. It's the Power Hour.
PECO is here to help this winter. With LIHEAP, you can get up to a $1,000 cash grant towards your PECO bill. You don't have to be behind on your bill to qualify, and you'll never have to pay it back. Even a family of 4 with an annual income of $40,000 is eligible. So don't count yourself out. This deal is first come, first served, so apply now at PECO.com/LIHEAP or call 800-34-HELP4. That's 800-34-HELP4.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. Pretty good ride here in Philadelphia early on this Monday morning. Just some usual volume building southbound 95, Cotman down through Bridge through the construction zone. Northbound looks pretty good. Schuylkill westbound University through the Vine. You're jammed up through that work zone this morning. Eastbound side not bad yet. The 8 Turnpike, Blue Ridge 476 looking good. 42, 55, 295 in New Jersey off to a pretty quiet start as well. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne David Royster along with the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler. We are here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinions. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you that are watching and checking us out today. I just want to shout out some of our folk that are checking us out online. Let's see, Ed Milner, Bishop Dr. Peggy Kendrick, Raphael Suleiman, Cheryl Brown, that is out there with us, Gary Butler Sr. We appreciate all of you. Maisha Boyd is out there, Bernita Francine. Hey, Bernita. Good to see you out there. Kenrick Talbot is here with us. Greg Brinkley is checking us out. K. Rashad Bay. And I know that Elder Melanie DeBose is out there listening to us as well, because she told me on Saturday, I listen to you all every 6 a.m. every morning to make it. So I said I would make sure that we shouted you out so that we knew that we appreciate you listening to us and checking us out here on the Power Hour.
Yeah, she uses her Palexa device.
Oh, is that what it is? The Palexa?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I got you.
We can't call it the real name because then you all are going to miss some of the show as your Palexa does weird stuff right now. Hearing my voice say that.
I want to go to this one thing, though, before you go. Greg Brinkley said, and they haven't been arrested in Michigan, and that's exactly correct. As a matter of fact, there was a bunch of politicians that were crying out about the fact that these people protested with arms in front of a mom's house with her baby inside. They have not been arrested, and there's nothing that they can do because legally they have a right to be there the way that they were. So I just want to say that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad Greg brought that up. There is a story from Staten Island about someone who did something that most black folk get killed doing, sadly, but he's arrested. But hopefully you have enough time to come back to that. And so thanks for that setup and that tease, Greg. So this Trump show is continued, and I mean, whether or not it ultimately does anything, it's the longest of all long shots. It's, bigger than any Hail Mary attempt we saw yesterday. Shout out to the Raiders, by the way. Derek Carr, 5 seconds left. Heaves a bomb, and Ruggs, the third, their number 1 draft pick this year, hauled it in and beat the winless Jets. I'm so sorry, Jets fans. I know I got some who are listening this morning. Just ripped their heart out. But it would be like that It's actually worse than that. I mean, it's like you're throwing it from one end zone all the way to the other, hoping that somebody catches it. That's what this is. This is a last-ditched effort to do, as you have said repeatedly, Trump is just trying to build his base for what happens after he officially leaves the White House. And so I was saying on the last segment, and this is the part that I forgot to mention, that it would be poetic justice that the Senate would lose because of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That the Republicans would yield control of the Senate and their legislative agenda and their opportunity to obstruct Joe Biden's agenda like they did Barack Obama successfully for 6 of his 8 years,
mm-hmm.
because Donald Trump himself created a civil war within their party when they could least afford it.
Right.
The fact that he cannot concentrate for 45 days and get himself out of his own way and to put the party before himself is, again, what they deserve, because that is how he has operated his entire life, and certainly his entire elected office, his elected time in office, operating that way. And they've had no problem when he has done it to everyone else. They've had no problem when he's gone after Gold Star families, when he has gone after protesters, when he has trained, his mobs upon, innocent people. It didn't matter. They said nothing. And now he is now going after the governor of Georgia, who was his staunchest, defender. The only governor I could think of who's even been in his corner more is the governor in Florida.
Yeah,
and he's right. And now he's going after him. He's going after all these people who voted for him and who fought for him. And if they lose this now because of him, I say, good. That's what you deserve.
So here's the interesting thing about all of this. This is why I've started making separating out Trumpers from Republicans, right? There's a difference between being a Trumper and being a Republican. And I think a lot of the Republicans who became Trumpers are now beginning to realize the folly of their ways, that Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody else but Donald Trump. If Donald Trump was smooth at this moment and was really trying to set himself up, he would back down. He would say 2024 is coming. He's already said that, and they said the day after the inauguration, he's going to announce that he's relaunching his campaign for president for 2024. Actually, I think he might be kind of tired by the time he gets to 2024 to try to run again. But he's going to launch the campaign. It's a way to raise money, because as long as you have a campaign going, you can raise money. So I think that there is a lot that he's actually doing to hurt himself and hurt his party, and they're going to be thrown into confusion and chaos for a while, because you do have the folk like the Lincoln Project. You do have folk that are actually real Republicans who have just like, we've become independents because we don't want to be affiliated with this anymore. And then you have Trumpers, and there's got to be a reconciliation of all this inside the Republican Party to be able to make this thing work. And then I have to imagine that there had to be some black folk who are Republicans right now who are going to have a crisis of conscience, in the midst of, after all this is over with, and saying, what on earth was I doing supporting this guy to be president of the United States? If I'm Tim Scott, I've got to do a little soul searching. Senator Tim Scott, I got to do a little soul searching. I got to figure this thing out and try to figure out, where did we go wrong?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that you're right. And some of them, I think, are going to be compelled to do soul searching because, to your point, Trump is not going away, right? I mean, he is going to continue fighting, so right now he's got, he's kind of holding people, right? I mean, just by virtue of his, all this mystery about what he's going to do next. So nobody wants to come out to say that they're going to be the candidate next, because if he does run again, who wants to get in the primary with this guy?
That's right.
I mean, you'll just ruin yourself. It'll be better for you to just, you know what, man, I'm not even getting in it.
Yeah.
Wait until 4 years, the next 4 years, until whenever. Apparently, America's fine with elected 80-year-olds now. So it's like, I'll always have time. I mean, heck, Bernie Sanders can still run and get elected should he want to, which is a good thing. I mean, if you have the ability, I say God bless and go for it. But my point, though, is really that it has changed the dynamic. And so a lot of them are going to wait because they don't want this guy coming for them. And I just say, again, it is exactly what Mitch McConnell would deserve, to have that speaker snatched out of his hand because Donald Trump would not let it go. That is the ultimate expression of poetic justice for the rest of history. I mean, the rest of our future. You go to Wikipedia, you look for poetic justice, and it would be a picture of Mitch McConnell. Poetic justice.
Well, you know,
that is what he deserves.
You know, I'm thinking, you know, when I'm listening to the pundits and everybody else, I think they think Georgia's going to split. They'll be 1-1, which will leave the Republicans in charge. But one of the things a lot of people are saying, Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden have a long-standing relationship with each other. As a matter of fact, he was interviewed with Kamala Harris, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, the other day, and they asked him if he had a conversation with Mitch McConnell, to which he never responded to the question, just sat there in silence, which means that he and Senator McConnell are having conversations. You know, I think that this is part of the reason why we're not going to see Joe Biden coming out with super progressive legislation or ideas, right? Even some of the people he's pointing to his cabinet are not going to be super progressive or because he knows he has to negotiate with the Republicans to get some of the things that he wants to get done in his agenda. Now, what's going to be very interesting in all this is that typically, at least for the last few presidents, generally when those presidents come in, they've also often swept in both the House and the Senate in their favor, which actually has not happened in this one. As a matter of fact, the Republicans actually made some gains during this election cycle. But if Biden actually goes into the presidency with a split Congress, but is actually able to get legislation passed, it actually bodes well for the Democrats in the midterm elections, because they'll be able to show that they're the party of negotiation and they're willing to do what it takes to be able to get things done to make America actually work. So, you know, to build back better, as Joe Biden would say. So I think that we're going to experience, if the Senate does not come back, a very interesting time. Now, what that means for those of us on the left is that we're probably not going to get much of anything. They'll get some things done, but not to the extent that we want to get it done. But they will begin the process of trying to move America forward, because I think this is how Mitch McConnell reclaims his role as, you know, Senate Majority Leader, and also willing to put America first. You know, he could not do that under Donald Trump, but he could do some things with Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I think that you have to have the long-term view. And thanks, everybody on Facebook Live, for your comments this morning, too. We are looking at them. So you have to have the long-term view as the Democrats. And we've had this conversation before. The further left you go in the first 2 years, the only, you know, you put the House more at jeopardy. The Democrats lost. They had a net loss of 10 seats. They had a comfortable majority. And once you win the White House, we all know historically what has happened is the winning party is going to lose seats in the House. It happened to Donald Trump.
Right.
He went in with the House. Paul Ryan was the speaker. What happened? Bam. You know, it's just so you have to think long term. So do you try to get it all in 2 to 4 years, or do you think, can't we hold this thing for 12? Can we be the next Reagan Bush one? And I mean, and truth be told, Bush the first, if he hadn't run up against a really, really, you know, creative young candidate in a Bill Clinton and had some gaps of his own, like read my lips, no new taxes, they would have had that thing 16 years. Right. And so that, I think, is the question, because over 12 years, you have a chance to begin to continue to work all the things you want versus trying to get just a few big wins up front that are flashy and make you feel good. Do you want to win the battle, or do you want to win the war? And can we be honest that we didn't like Reaganomics, but man, it lasted for a long time after his presidency.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're still living in the Reaganomics. And it's actually funny. So there's on HBO, there's a documentary series called The Reagans, which is all about Reagan's time in there. And actually, it was really interesting one of the things that they talked about in this documentary was the fact that Reagan actually created this huge tax cut and then cut too much. And then he had to do a series of tax increases as president of the United States, which people don't talk about. They always talk about Reagan cutting taxes, and actually he did. He cut them low and then had to do a series of implementation of increasing taxes again because the government was actually going to be flat broke because of the first tax cut that he made. But I think that this whole notion of trickle-down economics actually still lives deeply within the psyche of the American political class. We watch this happen in Philadelphia all the time. I'll take, for example, the rules around a 10-year tax abatement. So they held off on getting rid of the tax abatement for another year, right? And they're making some changes. We talked about this a little bit. But the whole notion of the tax abatement is not to build low-income housing, right? It's to build market-rate housing that in Philadelphia, most Philadelphians can't afford. So it becomes a poverty strategy to be able to move in wealthier folk coming in, taking care of corporations, continuing to give deep tax cuts to corporations. I'm still smarting over the $145 million tax break we gave to Comcast, even though they're making billions of dollars a quarter for their new headquarters. They didn't need that $145 million. And, you know, the reality is that we are constantly saying business is actually what generates and supports our economy. Actually, when it's not, it's the consumers. The people that buy the products are the ones that take it. You make an investment in the people. You don't make an investment in the corporations. The people will invest in the corporations by spending their own money, and you also tax the corporations because they're generating resources that can be used to benefit the community at large. And I just think but, you know, this whole notion of taking care of corporations and everything, taking care of the rich and everything will trickle down is actually a lie. It does not work. Rich people save money. Poor people spend money. If you want to stimulate the economy, you give the money to the people that are going to spend it, not the people that are going to save it.
Well, it's funny. So have you ever heard of Dave Ramsey? I'm sure you have.
Yes, I did Financial Peace University, absolutely.
You did his university?
I did.
All right, so there was a piece on him. I would imagine a lot of people listen to him because they said he has the third largest podcast radio audience, only behind Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, which is insane, right?
Well, he's conservative too. He really is.
That's my point. And so it's so he has this. The criticism on him is that in spite of his kind of practical, good common sense ways of getting out of debt and not allowing yourselves to be, consumed by debt. They said that basically, though, it's what drives it, right? His worldview, his ethical framework is one that does not look at the systems that keep people in poverty and that prevent more people from moving up. Certainly the individual can, but can masses of people move up, when we're giving out these huge tax cuts to the top, like you just said? But he has embraced and has been preaching really that trickle down kind of thing. And I was like, as I was reading that article, it's a great article, actually came out, I think, over the weekend. And I was like, this sounds like a lot of prosperity preachers that I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the same kind. Right. So it's the same thing. So we hear it in politics. We hear it from financial gurus. We hear it from churches. So that if you're broke, it's your fault. If you're sick, it's your fault. I never forget seeing Fred Price preach a sermon saying he never had a headache in his life. And if you had a headache, it's because you don't have faith. Take that framework and put that into politics, put that into housing, put that into schools. So, child, you're in a poor school district because it's your fault.
That's right.
You should have been born to a better family, right?
No, that's right. That's the way it works. That's the way to come at these things.
Well, all right. Well, it's my fault now because I ran a minute over time. So nobody did that. I did that to myself. I was looking at the clock. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation and possibly squeeze in one of your phone calls. It's the Power Hour with Bishop Dwayne David Reister and myself, Mark Tyler. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. We breathe every day and have been doing so since before we were born. But wait, let's think about this for a moment. Something as simple as breathing can enhance our health and well-being. When we breathe mindfully, we slow down, take deep breaths, and activate our parasympathetic system to relax our bodies. Mindful breathing goes like this. Number 1, find a comfortable place to sit still for a few minutes. Number 2, close your eyes and relax your hands on your thighs. Number 3, take a deep breath in and count to 3. Then exhale your breath and count to 3. Do this 5 times. We sometimes think mindful breathing has to be an intense experience, yet even just a few minutes a day can make a big difference. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report's sponsored by Staples Store. Some volume getting heavy as you make your way Schuylkill Expressway westbound University through the Vine, jammed up through construction eastbound. No major problems yet. Westbound Vine, Building Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. 95 southbound Common through Bridge, a little slow through that work zone. Then Allegheny through Girard, northbound moving fine. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476 in pretty good shapes this morning. In New Jersey, 55 northbound, building a bit north of Deptford in the 42, 55, 42, 295 rather. No major problems there as of yet. Staples helps you ship all of your gifts and packages this year. Now save 25% on UPS expedited shipping services, plus take up to 30% off select shipping supplies like boxes, tape, and padded mailers. In-store only, all friends 1-221. See store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne Royster. We are here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to come and check you out and get you started on your days. Hey, while we're here for a second, I just want to remind folk, please be safe out there. The cases are rising in COVID-19. We hit all new highs in the state of Pennsylvania over the last few days, and we are probably going to begin to see the numbers really rise from folk that traveled during the Thanksgiving holiday. So mask up, please wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, protect yourself, stay in if at all possible, so that you are able to keep safe, keep your family safe, and help keep Philadelphia healthy.
You know who else got COVID?
Who's that? Oh, yeah, your boy. Your number one. Who likes hanging out the Four Seasons.
And doesn't like, I mean, I don't wish COVID on anybody. And, you know, it's surprising that it like took him this long to get COVID.
Yeah, really.
Considering the fact that, you know, his son got it and was running around him. Rudy Giuliani, is who we're talking about, in case you all don't know, has been diagnosed with COVID. But it's like, again, it's like, so you go spit into the wind and then wonder why your face gets wet, right? Uh-huh. I mean, there's a difference between people who try their best to do everything that's responsible, and then you still contract this, you know, this sometimes deadly disease, versus those who I mean, so at the hearing we were talking about last week in Michigan, he's trying to tell one of the witnesses, take your mask off, take your mask off. She's like, no, I'm good. Take your mask off. It's like, Rudy, you don't want to wear a mask. You don't wear a mask. It's all right, but I want to wear a mask. And the senators in the hearing were saying, the Michigan State senators, we can hear her fine. It's all right. But it's like this insistence on denying what is real. And then all of a sudden you get it. And now you got to come off of the trail of like, because ain't nobody going to let Rudy in the room right now. At least not for the next 7 to 10 days.
Nope.
So for the last, again, talking about poetic, right? The last week before the Electoral College certifies on next Monday, Giuliani can't be out in public.
Nope. And that's actually probably a good thing because, you know, some of his antics in the courtrooms and the press conferences lately have not been reflecting well on his legacy as America's mayor.
So I was really distracted with all the stuff in Georgia last week. And so I missed the whole Michigan shenanigans, the woman, Carone, this quote-unquote star witness, I actually listened to her testimony today because Saturday Night Live was so funny. I had to go back and hear the original. And I was like, oh, my God, Saturday Night Live actually did not, you know how they usually go over the top?
Right.
I'm like, they never even really reached where she was. Bro, she's like, oh, I saw thousands of people coming in voting. They were just running things through the machine, and everybody was really suspicious. But so I couldn't understand why on the SNL Open, did you see the cold open?
No, I didn't see it, no.
So Rudy Giuliani is talking and had a bit of an issue with, dare I say, flatulence. On the SNL skit. And I was like, that's really weird, until I discovered that actually happened during the hearing last week. I'm so sorry to bring this up on such a serious show. But is that a side effect?
I don't know. Well, I mean, gastrointestinal distress is actually one of the symptoms of COVID-19.
Okay, so we should have known then, right? So, and but this is why I would give Rudy Giuliani all of his props, because any of those of us, like we're doing the show right now, who does anything live, whether you're preaching, speaking, radio, TV. It's got to be one of the fears always in the back of your mind that just something like that might happen and you're just totally embarrassed. Giuliani kept talking like nothing happened. Man, he soldiered on like I didn't hear a thing. Just kept on talking. I mean,
you get to a place though when you get older, man. You know, it's past gas is natural. You just do what you got to do. You know.
You just don't care. Rudy, Saturday Night Live actually did that as a part of this sketch. And if you have not seen the SNL Cold Open, it is absolutely hilarious. But you almost have to go back and watch the Michigan Senate hearing first because if you didn't see that, you just don't get the jokes.
I'm going to go back and watch it on YouTube. They post all those on YouTube, so I would have.
Yeah, you got to see them both. But this quote-unquote witness, man, she was just like, she was out there. I mean, she was really out there. So I brought this other story up, and I want to get to it real quick before we go. I saw something, and I knew right away that the person that I saw or I was reading about was not black. You'll know how I know?
How do you know?
Because in the city of New York, NYC, a man used his vehicle as a weapon against police officers who were trying to detain him and arrest him.
Oh, yeah, they weren't black.
And they said that he was later apprehended.
That's how you knew he wasn't black. Right?
That's how I knew.
He was later apprehended.
Yeah.
They didn't fire into the car. They didn't, bust the windows out,
No. Remember this black woman, poor lady, turned into the middle of like where the protests were going on after the Walter Wallace killing in Philly. They ran up on her car, broke her window, snatched her out, snatched her teenage nephew out, grabbed the baby, and then the FOP nationally goes around with the picture of this white woman officer hold this black baby lying, saying that the baby had been wandering around the protest barefoot. No, the baby was traumatized, watched his mom almost get killed by Philly PD because she turned up the wrong way. But this bar owner in New York City who's not black is being apprehended, runs from the cops, jumps in his car, and then uses his car to get away. That is usually the excuse for officers firing 100 rounds into a car, right? And killing, I mean, how many black folk have been killed by the police for using their car as a weapon?
Yeah. Or just trying to get in their cars, you know, just sitting in their cars, you know, that is absolutely, that's absolutely, I mean, you know, but it's just, it continues, right? The implicit bias, the racism, the prejudice, discrimination, everything else, stuff white folk can do that black folk can't do.
Well, you knew he wasn't black. That's all I got to say.
I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine when they booked him, he came in, they were like, what did he do? Before they even saw the suspect, he ran and tried to hit us with his car. He's here? Yeah. Oh, he ain't black, is he? Race, anything but black. Man. That's right. All right. Speaking of New York City, I thought we were almost out, but prayers for our good friend. Do you know Jackie Lewis?
Yeah.
Middle Collegiate Church.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
Man, their church was built about the same time as our building at Mother Bethel, but their congregation goes back to the 1600s. Great progressive space. I know her predecessor well as well, Gordon. They were both on the board. We were on the board together at New Brunswick Seminary. Great people. Man, this church. What's that?
Is that Gordon Lathrop?
No, it's Gordon. Maybe it's Lathrop. I don't know Gordon's last name. I'm blanking on it right now. But Gordon, great guy, and fought real hard for Jackie, first African-American woman to pastor that church. They do incredible things. The church houses the New York City Liberty Bell that's rung every year since the Declaration of Independence back in 1776. But the building was gutted by fire. I mean, just absolutely gutted. So, you know, I know it's just a building and that they will rebuild, but for people who have sentimental attachment to a house of worship, your synagogue, your mosque, your temple, your church, it does mean something to people. And so certainly praying for the good people there at Middle Collegiate Church. They're great people. I know they'll rebuild. She said her quote of the day was, not even fire can stop revolutionary love. So praying for them to get back on their feet.
Absolutely. That's one of her themes of her preaching, is this whole notion of revolutionary love. So, you know, certainly praying for them and, you know, wanting to support. They're also a United Church of Christ congregation. Middle Collegiate's affiliated with the United Church of Christ and the Reformed Church of America. And so they are one of our sister congregations to my congregation in D.C. So certainly praying and lifting them up right now, and we'll be supporting them as they work on their rebuilding project, because rebuilding in New York is no joke.
Man, yeah, you don't have enough insurance, no matter what you have, to rebuild a building from 1892. Yeah. And so we'll be praying for them. And also, one last thing, shout out to all the surviving members of World War II and any of their direct descendants. Today, it was the day that we remember Pearl Harbor from 1941 on this day. My mom is 86, will be 87 this year, and talked a lot about being a child, always afraid when airplanes flew over their head, just because of the fear that they just kind of had with that. So again, shout out to all those folk, because we wouldn't be here on the air today if it didn't happen.
That's right. All right. Well, we are out of time. Thank you all for joining us this morning, beginning a new week on the Power Hour with Mark Tyler and Dwayne Royster. Please, family, go out, take care of yourselves, wear your face mask, get your hand sanitizer, wash your hands, stay in the house if possible. Yes, and you need to make sure you stay home until you get through everything from being in Atlanta. We deeply appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinions. Listen, stay tuned for the Wake Up with Word show with Solomon Jones. Go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace. A bullet in my gun. Oh,